This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Two Money Moves on a Monday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Sirius XM Channel 158, Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Lots more to come this hour, including in about 30 minutes. We will have VSiN's own Josh Appelbaum stop by the program, get some of his market insights on the 11-game MLB slate today. We'll do a full breakdown as well on games that we're looking at, our best bets. I actually have a lot of MLB bets today, which is a little uncharacteristic for me. You riding with some today, too?
Yes, indeed.
Beautiful. Plenty of NBA.
I probably should put him in the rundown.
Maybe that would help a girl. Some NHL and NBA postseason as well. So we are locked and loaded here. We mentioned in the last segment in Call Me Crazy, you were talking about the report from Shams Charania earlier this morning about Giannis Antetokounmpo being open to other potential landing spots this offseason. But I think it bears repeating here just because it has made so many headlines over the last couple of hours. How you really feel about this right now?
Yeah, so I wanted to, this is why this kind of stuff makes me laugh. This is the report. As decision makers for all 30 NBA teams descend upon Chicago for the draft combine, that's this week, we get the lottery today, there will be substantive conversations around the biggest unknown domino of the offseason. What will Milwaukee Bucks forward Giannis Antetokounmpo do? The two-time NBA MVP has not made any firm decisions on his future. Okay, so
it's a no report.
Yeah, of course.
That's fully what it is.
Now, but having said that, as you're talking about here, as we have our next team odds, and these are either offshore, or very low limits at DraftKings. If you're willing to bet into markets like this, I would very much take a flyer on 10-1 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Look, this is right the cliche. This is what you lift them weights for. This is what you got these assets for. What are we stockpiling assets for, if not for the moment in which the transcendent superstar potentially becomes available? You have everything within your power to take that championship window and just rip it open if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, ship off the assets, go get Giannis and pair him with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and whatever other iteration of this roster you can keep. The best part about you being the Oklahoma City Thunder is that you have so many draft assets, Stormy. You don't have to really gut your roster. Teams like Houston, for example, they're very attractive. They do have assets themselves. They'll have to dip into the young players that they potentially have. The Thunder might be, ship off a piece, but you have the assets to go and get this done. Go and do it, man. Go and make sure that you're going to have a championship window open for the foreseeable future. I don't know why you wouldn't. So at 10-1, I think it makes all the sense in the world. And again, I don't care if they win every game going forward. You call this offseason and you make sure that this gets done.
I mean, I think you would be ridiculous if you're any team in the NBA not to see what the going price is going to be to make that move. But you mentioned it earlier. The Milwaukee Bucks are still an odds-on favorite to retain Giannis Antetokounmpo this offseason. Minus 200 that price, followed by the Houston Rockets plus 950. The Thunder, who you referenced, 10-1. Golden State, 11-1. And may I take your OKC Thunder and raise you a San Antonio Spurs at 12-1 with, Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs all of a sudden becoming more of a destination. I know we have the Pop retirement, but he's still going to be a part of the organization. Any interest in San Antonio at that price?
I think it makes some sense. I would have to go over and see exactly what they have to ship off that would make the
worthwhile.
Right, because I feel like if you're doing this right and you're not, say, the Dallas Mavericks, who are complete and utter idiots and not trying to find the best package available, I feel like there are teams that can offer more than what the Spurs can theoretically offer. But having said that, would I love to see Victor Wembanyama and Giannis Antetokounmpo play together on the floor?
Sweet.
It'd be incredible. It'd be basketball porn. It'd be insane watching what they were able to do from a defensive standpoint. I don't know how you would score at the rim. Like there'd just be nothing that you could do from that perspective. So it would be incredible to see. But I feel like there's a couple of teams that maybe have a little bit more. I'd also say too, like to your point, I think theoretically, if you're building true odds of how this goes, the Spurs probably should have better odds to land Giannis than these Golden State Warriors, for example. So in theory, is there maybe a little value there? Potentially. I think the Nets probably have a little bit more than what the market says. I actually have a very long text message I have yet to read from one Zach Cohen about what the Brooklyn Nets have to offer. So I think that's going to be something that is worth monitoring. But, yeah, man, I think that there is a little bit of value in teams like Brooklyn or the Spurs that you just brought up.
Giannis played his entire career, obviously, in Milwaukee, won a title, 2-time MVP, 2 years left on the deal, plus that player option in 27-28. But we've talked a lot about Dame with the injury, going to be unavailable all year. This is a team that doesn't have draft picks. They need to do something to build for the future. So if that means moving on from their star, we'll see if that ends up taking place. And if so, where he ultimately ends up going. You mentioned the draft lottery coming up tonight in Chicago, 7 o'clock. It'll be right before that Warriors-Timberwolves game on ESPN. You mentioned earlier some of the numbers and probabilities. Anything that stood out to you as you were going through?
The draft lottery?
Yeah.
Nah, not really. I mean,
No?
it's just you should. Here's the thing: you should not bet into draft lottery odds.
Okay, just don't do it.
You do not. You know, a lot of the time, value is perceived on how you measure things outside of if a market's just completely mispriced. But like Stormy, there are literal percentages paired with the outcomes here. The percentages you're betting into here, you are willfully saying. The team that literally has a 14% chance, that's actually the correct term. The team that literally has a 14% chance of this event happening, if you're betting into these markets, you're saying they have a 15% chance. Now, I don't know, maybe you have some inside information, and we played this clip when I was filling in on Follow the Money like a month ago, but LeBron did very much insinuate that he believes draft lottery odds are fixed. So if you think that's the case, then hell, go and bet the team that you think it would make the most sense. That Cooper Flagg would go and get, it would make the most sense to put Cooper Flagg on if you were the NBA. But I don't think that's the case.
Okay. We did get some NFL news. And by the way, sorry, just one last thought on the lottery now that I thought of it. This year with Cooper Flagg is very much so reminiscent of when Victor Wembanyama was drafted. And he, all of the conversation around how great he's going to be. Not that Flagg is going to be this unbelievable next LeBron type of an aesthetic in the league, but the fact that remember when Wendy is out there in France and interviews Victor Wembanyama because he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. That's the vibes that we have here with Cooper Flagg. Everybody is vying for the opportunity to draft this kid.
The way that I put it, though, I think the difference, and it's not a big difference, the way that I put it in the year that Wemby was coming out, if aliens were to come down and abduct Victor Wembanyama before the draft, the Spurs would have still drafted his rights just in case the aliens were going to return him.
I love it.
In this case, I don't think, if Cooper Flagg gets abducted, I don't know if you're actually taking the risk that the aliens return him this time around. So, in other words, Victor Wembanyama, you would climb over your grandmother to get to him as an NBA prospect. For Cooper Flagg, you climb over a lot of people, but you might draw the line at some point.
That's I like that comparison. That's fun. In the NFL, we didn't get a chance to talk about this yet, but over the weekend, the news of Derek Carr's retirement officially came through. And with that now leaves the quarterback room in a pretty interesting position. And something that I want to talk about that I'm curious your opinion on, because we knew Derek Carr has already had a lot of struggles. And then you throw the injury on top of it, where we had the assumption that he, at the very least, wasn't going to play a good chunk of the season. And then more and more reports came out that it was looking like, okay, maybe not this year at all. He ultimately decides to retire. Why then, when you have your pick of the litter in the draft this year for any quarterback that you kind of want to see what might work out, do you pick the one that's the most injury prone of any that are in this draft class? And I'm a fan of Tyler Shuck. But this past year, which was his 7th year in college football, was the first time that he had played more than 7 games in a single season.
Did you ever work a game with him?
Yeah, I did a couple with him this year. He's a great kid, very talented, and his head coach was very complimentary of him. But he's had a lot of issues and a lot of different things. And maybe that's plays to his favor that he hasn't had a lot of repeat injuries. But you break a leg here, you break one collarbone here. Oh, let's break the other collarbone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with you generally in the thought of, I don't know why they drafted him where they did. Given his past, I don't think it really makes sense. I mean, I don't know. The NFL's not too physical. It's actually a lot less physical than college, so maybe that's going to be something that works in his favor. That is sarcasm. But what I'm interested in, and we brought this up with Gil when we were changing places here at the desk, and I finally kind of found some of the wording of some of the reports that I was discussing here. This is before Derek Carr obviously announced his retirement. Uncertainty remains as it relates to Derek Carr's 2025 availability for the New Orleans Saints. Developments and details are emerging. Carr has been to New Orleans twice in recent weeks to meet with Saints doctors at the team facility. His preference is to avoid shoulder surgery. So again, wording of reports prior to his retirement, I thought very clearly indicated that this man was not going to be available very deep into the season, or maybe not available at all. Mm-hmm. And so there has been this talk about, the win total, the adjustment on the win total, the odds for Shuck to win Rookie of the Year really got cut down to about 10-1. Yep. I don't know, maybe I was just misreading into reports. I was under the impression Carr was not really going to be available at all this season. And if that availability came around, it was going to be much closer to like December or something like that than it was going to be, I don't know, 4 weeks into the regular season. So I was somewhat surprised by the shock and then the subsequent reaction to the news that Carr wasn't going to be available.
Well, specifically to your point, though, those Rookie of the Year odds, because he went from 20-1 to 14-1 to now 10-1. Like, that was cut in half now.
Yeah. So, and you and I were discussing it. It seemed like you kind of thought the same thing too. So maybe I was just misreading into reports, but I was operating under the impression that like this was going to be the season.
No, I'm in 100% agreement with you. And now the quarterback room for the Saints is Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, and Jake Haener. That is what you are working with in New Orleans now. And this is a team that last year goes from a favorite to win the division to the bottom of the barrel, low season win total, and a lot of question marks in a division that has been bad and very winnable and opportunistic for teams. Speaking of opportunity, maybe the Preakness could be one. And we got some interesting news in horse racing. No sovereignty in the field, but Kentucky Derby favorite Journalism, along with Sandman, that gray horse everybody loved, entered the Preakness field with Rodriguez scratched. So we got a little Preakness news here on the way out.
Yes, we do. That is definitely news.
It is, which, by the way, if you are somebody who is interested in continuing to carry over your Kentucky Derby prowess, betting the ponies, First Bet is the way to do it. New customers use our promo code VSiN200. That'll score you a 20% rebate on all wagers the first 60 days up to $200. That's win or lose, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting paid back. Download the First Bet app today or visit first.com/bet. Promo code VSiN200 will get you started. First.com/bet. Promo code VSiN200. Journalism 5-1. I don't know. I like goal-oriented. 5-2, excuse me. Goal-oriented is just that's a good one. I like that.
Got to evaluate.
Gets me motivated. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, breaking down the Major League Baseball slate for today. How about them Rockies, by the way?
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hey, the Rockies won a game and fired their manager. As we welcome you back in here to VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. The show is Money Moves. He's JVT. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're going to break down the 11-game Major League Baseball slate here. Then coming up in 15 minutes, VSiN's own Josh Appelbaum is also going to stop by, give us some market insights on the MLB today, potentially some NBA thoughts as well, JVT. But so the Colorado Rockies, a day removed from being torched by the Padres, 21-0, move on from Bud Black and actually win a game. They got their 7th dub of the season.
Yeah, a very warranted firing for Bud Black. I mean, this is, I think, a sleeping giant that we were all expecting great things from. And so for them to get off to the start that they have been off to, I think was purely unacceptable. And I think that's why you fire Bud Black.
It's when it comes to, I can see the tongue-in-cheek smirk on your face, but when it comes to some of these early season firings, like obviously we saw the Pirates move on from their manager, like two teams that are really struggling here in the regular. Is there anything that a change of voice can really even do when it's such a talent-based reason why you're losing?
I mean, maybe we always talk about managers adding wins at the margins. Same thing with head coaches. So like maybe over the course of a long season, a good manager adds a few, like maybe a couple of wins, but I don't think you're really changing too much. I just go back to the same thing we talked about with the Pirates as we do here, which is if in May you were willing to make this move, what were your preseason expectations?
Correct.
That you wouldn't just make this move in the offseason and allow a guy to come in and establish a culture at the beginning of the year, as opposed to letting your team to get its teeth kicked in for a month and a half and then just going like, this ain't working. Like if this was as short as the leash was, then just yank the leash. I don't know what we're doing here, but this is what bad franchises do. Same thing with the Pirates, same thing with the Rockies. I don't think anything great is going to come of this. Having said that, who knows? Maybe they're going to rip off 20 million wins in a row and they're going to win the World Series, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case. Just another firing for a bad team. We'll see what happens.
You mentioned how high you were on the Texas Rangers. Colorado now opens a 3-game set against this team today. The Rangers with Tyler Mahle on the hill, minus 258. You love Mahle.
Dude, we've talked about this a ton. Like, Mahle has been a dude that the market hasn't really dug a ton. Now, today, obviously, it is hard to look past Tyler Mahle considering his opponent here. But we've seen the market kind of steadily move against Mahle every single one of his starts. And yet, at every single turn, Stormy, he continues to deliver. He still has a sub-2 ERA. Underlying metrics really have not budged in terms of a guy that you're looking at and going, he's going to get rocked someday. There's a couple of guys that are on the list today that you can make the case for. Not so much for Mahle. 3.28 ERA, or excuse me, FIP. He's probably due for a little bit of regression. He's still, though, once he regresses to elite starter to above average pitcher. So I think Mahle's been solid. He's part of a pretty solid pitching staff. I don't know if he turns it to a pumpkin here today. Probably happens against the better lineup, but interesting to always track Mahle's starts because the market never really likes him a lot.
On the run line, Texas minus the 1.5 runs, minus 130, even that price. Run total here in this one, 9. Okay, as you went through the schedule today, what's the first game that really called to you?
All right, so there's a couple that were pretty interesting. I think it's hard not to go to the game that you have on your radar as well. In two, some would consider American League contenders in the Boston Red Sox on the road against the Detroit Tigers. The aforementioned Rangers took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers over the weekend. Detroit now comes in here with Jackson Jobe getting the start against Tanner Houck. Houck has been awful, as has Jackson. If you look at it from Jobe's standpoint, his last 2 starts at Houston, at Colorado, 6 2/3, 12 hits, 5 walks, 9 earned, only 6 strikeouts. For those who can't do the math quickly, that's a 10.57 ERA. Jobe's been pretty terrible over his last 2. Doesn't generate swings and misses at all. Would very much be a case of, I think, him maybe getting knocked around. But I think Houck could get knocked around too. So, in other words, I think I would lean toward this game going over the total. I think both Houck and Jobe are guys that you can very much get got. So a first 5 over I thought was pretty interesting here between these two.
Sure. And so I am thinking that the market is overreacting a little bit to Jobe here.
Sure.
So I am on the Tigers, especially now at that plus money price. I think a lot of people especially are going to look at that last start against the Rockies when you give up against Colorado 8 hits, 2 homers, and 6 third runs. Like, okay, what might the Boston Red Sox lineup now do to you? But I think it's worth noting that they still won and covered that game, against the Rock. Like, what I'm saying is the Rockies still won and covered the run line in that game. So I think that result-wise, Detroit is second best run differential in baseball, top 8 in average, slugging, OPS, 4th in RBI. They've been great at home, 14-5. Plus, backing up Jobe is the second best bullpen ERA in the sport right now. So Houck, meanwhile, 0-2, ERA over 6. And I know the overall numbers look a little bit worse than they really are because of that one brutal start he had against the Rays a week ago, excuse me. Oh, no, it was a month ago. But he's also had the benefit of starts against the Orioles, White Sox, Guardians, and Blue Jays. He's regularly playing bottom 10 offenses.
Yeah. I mean, I think for Houck, too, you look at his last start. So if you remember his last outing.
Is it Houck or Huck?
I go Houck. I believe it's Houck.
Okay.
But look, I'm not any professional when it comes to name enunciation, so I'll make sure that I get that right. But regardless, when it comes to Tanner,
with baseball, I'm still growing. Okay.
If you remember, his last start was against the Rangers, and I had bet against him. He went out there and performed relatively well. But if you kind of look underneath the numbers, you kind of see a dude that was getting a little lucky. 4 2/3, 6 hits, 2 walks, and 2 earned runs. But in terms of 19 batted balls against him. 2 barrels given up, 10 were considered hard hit. The guy's still giving up a ton of hard contact, and I think this Detroit lineup, to your point, can generate some success. And from a pricing standpoint, given how well this Detroit lineup has been at times, I am surprised that this was minus 110 both ways at the open. I thought that the Tigers at least deserved to be favored on their home field.
Yeah. And now you're getting plus 105 with the market moving against
disagrees,
them.
Yep.
So, okay, what else were you looking at today?
All right, so there's that one. That's a really interesting game from a narrative standpoint. Hard not to look at the Diamondbacks after their series, tough-fought series with the Dodgers over the weekend. Now you have to hit the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. Merrill Kelly's getting the start. Kelly's command is great, but everything else stinks. The awful contact numbers, 30th percentile in average exit velocity, 24th percentile in barrel rate allowed, 19th percentile in hard hit rate allowed. The guy should be a little bit more unlucky than what we're looking at here. Expected ERA numbers are nearly 5 if you look at it, and if you like StatCast numbers there. For Verlander, what you see is what you get. He's right in step with what he's gotten. So for this one here, I thought the total was a little low. We saw this open 7.5 shaded to the over. We're now at 8 multiple spots, slightly shaded to the over at minus 112. But I thought that this or first 5 over was potentially worth looking at here. Diamondbacks are going to be in a lot of high-scoring games, man. Their pitching really isn't spectacular, and their offense is. And I think you get another one here. It was a wild series of the Dodgers over the weekend.
Yep, no question about it. I have a first 5 bet in another game. I'm Cubs F5 run line against the Marlins today. It is a little bit juicy. It's a hefty price at -150, but just a fade of Cal Quantrill here.
Son of Paul Quantrill, and your guy on the hill.
I know that he has faced some tough lineups this season, and already against a good Dodgers team last week, he was great. 5 innings, gave up just 1 run on 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, but that's not the norm. Especially on the road. In 4 starts, he's 2-2, ERA of 7.64. Opponents batting .315 against him. You introduced me to Baseball Savant and just eyeballing.
Fun site, right?
It is, and just eyeballing some of those advanced metrics. So for reference, red is good, blue is bad. There is a lot of blue when you look at his expected ERA, whiff percentage, K rate, barrel rate, hard hit rate. None of it's good. And you know my affinity already for the Cubs and their lineup, top 5 in just about everything. Colin Ray has won 4 of his 5 starts, all of those wins by 2 or more runs. So instead of going full game, I'm just going F5, hoping that Ray gets the job done and those bats come alive.
Yep. I think it would make a lot of sense for sure. I think, what's funny is I figured that you were going to look there because I know that Ray and the Cubs have been a team that you've been backing with some regularity.
Every day I'm looking at the Cubs, like,
sure.
Can I back them in some way, shape, or form today?
I did want to point out one more if we have. Yeah, we got time. New York on the road against Seattle. This is a pretty interesting series getting started out there in the Pacific Northwest. Clark Schmidt versus Emerson Hancock at last look here. Schmidt has not really been great. Excuse me. But if you look at like the underlying metrics for Hancock, I think you can make the case that he's actually gotten a little bit unlucky. He's been knocked around despite some really good command. The contact numbers are really solid. 6.4% barrel rate. Only a third of the balls that are hit against him are considered hard hit. He doesn't really generate a ton of swings and misses, but for a lineup like this, with the way the Mariners have been hitting and at home, you think that maybe Hancock can do enough to at least give them a shot here. So I'd be potentially intrigued. We saw the Yankees on the overnight as like a $1.30 favorite, but we're upwards of like -148 in some spots. I would disagree. I want to see where the market, like what the point of maybe buyback is here, because I think Hancock and the Mariners are in a better spot than given credit for, given the way the market is going here.
That is one of the handful of games that we're going to discuss next segment as well, with Josh Appelbaum talking about some of that line movement and where the steam is going. It is also Paul Skeens Day, so I know he has thoughts on Pirates, Mets. Plus, we'll talk about this game a little bit later on, but the Padres, I am backing them today. Another one of those pitchers that we love so much, Michael King, on the hill today. Your guy. Your boy.
And Cy Young.
Your boy. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. Also, reminder, everybody, if you are looking to learn more about where real bettors get ahead, join in on all of the fun. Since 2011, Sharp Plays has been locked in on what real pros are betting, bets that are moving markets. When you sign up, you'll get access to not only the bets, but all of Sharp Plays' powerful AI tools and betting reports, plus real-time alerts and updates through email or X, and perhaps most importantly, betting logs. We love that transparency. Available on the site each and every day. Don't take our word for it. Check it out for yourself when you head over to sharpplays.com. We're going to take a quick timeout. At the end of the hour, we'll have our best bets of the day, quick updates on the NBA and NHL postseason games that we have today. But when we come back, it's Josh Appelbaum looking at the MLB market and some thoughts on this NFL win total.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Some of our Major League Baseball conversation as we welcome you back here to Money Moves. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you as we are excited to welcome into the program our good friend Josh Appelbaum on the Progressive Guest Line, host of the All Systems Go podcast. You can follow him on X at Josh_Insights. Does a great job with us here at VSiN as a betting analyst, breaking down where kind of the money and steam is coming in. Josh, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Stormy. JBT, great to be with you. JBT, you've created a big stir on the internet, man. Texas Roadhouse, yay or nay? I got to say, our buddy Greg Peterson, not too happy with you right now. 71% of your Twitter poll from Brian Ortega says Texas Roadhouse is a yay. So what was the beef, man? Number one, what did you get? I missed this whole thing. Yeah. I actually went to Texas Roadhouse for the first time when my wife and I went out to Roswell, New Mexico. It was all alien themed. I thought it was great. What was your beef, JVT?
So I think, and I've said this a couple times, Josh, I also don't think I caught it on the right day. I went on Mother's Day, which is a very high volume day. They probably weren't at their best. I went ribeye. I got, rice, green beans. And then my mom got rattlesnake bites, whatever the hell those things are called. Not great, kind of greasy. I got onions and mushrooms with the with a steak. Way too many onions, no mushrooms.
You don't have to eat them all.
No, but it was just like piled on. It was really odd. It was not a great, and the flavor was just just a little too much salt, too much.
I just go for the potato skins and rolls because I like that honey cinnamon butter so much.
Well, not to burn this out, but Josh, I will say many people, from what I have understood, outside of the idiots who are responding to me, the thought is that maybe getting the steak at Texas Roadhouse was the wrong way to go. That there's different things that I should have gotten.
I would agree, JVT. Number one, Stormy, you're right. The rolls, delicious. JVT, go with a regular burger, man. They do it pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it was Mother's Day that kind of screwed you up there. It was too crowded. Portion sizes are great, but hey, maybe not the best.
I also just love, Josh, that leave it to you to roll into this segment still talking about percentages,
right,
albeit for a poll about Texas Roadhouse, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Let's get into a little bit of baseball talk here, because I know you were pouring through the slate for today and there were some numbers that popped out to you. Let's hit game number one here, a game we were talking about last segment with the Detroit Tigers. What were you looking at?
Yeah, this one's a bit surprising to me, Stormy, because, again, you've seen a really big line move toward the Boston Red Sox. So there's actually kind of an underlying situation, drama that's going on with the Red Sox. We'll get to that in a second right now. But I got to respect this line move on Boston because the Red Sox coming in are going with Tanner Houck. He's 0-2, 6.10 ERA. He had a really tough start to the year, but he's actually been much better in the month of May. In 2 starts in May, he's got a 2.31 ERA, only giving up 3 runs in over 11 innings pitched. He'll be going against Jackson Jobe, very high draft pick tier. He's 2-0, 4.88 ERA. But Stormy, this is one of those moves where it's so sharp, it makes me queasy, but I got to follow it. And it's all toward the Boston Red Sox. We opened this game, Detroit actually favored. They were around a minus 115 home favorite. You saw the Red Sox around even money, plus 100. And really at DraftKings, they're saying, hey, Detroit is the better team, better record. Obviously, they've been pretty impressive here to start the year. Red Sox have been really streaky up and down. But even though you're getting nearly 2/3 of money line bets at DraftKings, big public book on Detroit, the line hasn't moved further toward Detroit. It's completely flipped toward the Red Sox. So this is one of my favorite system matches, a dog to fave line move. You open as a dog, you flip to a favorite. Kind of thinking through that line move, it tells me that there's a lot of big money that came in on Boston and flipped that number. You got it circa where you guys are at. This really jumped out to me. Red Sox only getting 47% of money line bets, but 87% of money line dollars. So that kind of furthers the idea that these bigger, sharper, more respected wagers are going with the Red Sox. Red Sox do have one thing I like, a non-division favorite system match, so that lack of familiarity benefiting, quote-unquote, the better team. They do have the better offense kind of in certain categories. They're 12th best on the road. Detroit's actually 18th hitting in terms of playing at home. And you look at Jackson Jobe, he just got lit up. He against the Colorado Rockies, 6 earned runs and 3.2 innings pitched. So I'm going to the Red Sox here, guys. I got minus 120. The underlying drama that's going on with Boston right now, you guys know it's all about Rafael Devers. I'm in New England. This is the number one talk radio reason why people want to call up and hammer Devers. He's making $300 million. Why won't he switch and play first base for the good of the team? John Henry had to fly into Kansas City to kind of calm him down. I'm thinking maybe they're rallying around Devers. They took 2 out of 3 against the Royals. I don't know. Maybe the teammates have his back. There's kind of that chip on the shoulder of the Red Sox right now. Maybe this is a good spot to bet on them to take the first game of this series.
All right, I like it. Counterpoint, Royals stink. No. All right, let's go with the Yankees. Stay in the division on the road against the Seattle Mariners. Is it safe to assume that you're looking at the line move in favor of the Bronx Bombers here?
Yeah, you got it here, JVT. I like the Yankees in this spot. You saw this line move in favor of New York quite a bit. You open this game, Yankees around minus 130 on the road, kind of a modest money line chalk price on the road. They've now been steamed up all the way to minus 145. We're showing on our VSiN board some shops even as high as minus 150. So it's really been, as soon as this line came out, a ton of big money flooding in on the Yankees. DraftKings, you have pretty good one-way action on New York, around 80% of bets, 81% of dollars. But again, looking at circa 77% of moneyline bets, over 90% of moneyline dollars on New York. Yankees are matching a couple systems that I really like. If you just kind of look at favorites who made the playoffs the previous year, it's a very simple system, but it's 199 and 113 this year, 64% win rate, 4% ROI. If you layer in a favorite who made the postseason with a line move in their direction, so you're expected to win, you're a postseason team from the year before, and the market is moving in your direction, that system's even better, 143 and 69, this season. That's 68%, 8% ROI. You do have that non-division favorite, lack of familiarity benefit to the Yankees. You also have some correlative betting here. You've seen a low total that even has gotten lower. It opened 8.5 at some shops. It's down to 8. So fewer amount of expected runs scored. Benefit there to the quote-unquote better team who's favored to win. And the Yankees have a big advantage here offensively. They're hitting .257 against righties this year. That's 5th best in baseball. On the road, they're the number 1 hitting team in Major League Baseball, hitting .276. Seattle's only hitting .217 at home. That ranks 29th, one of the worst. So Clark Schmidt versus Hancock, both guys have ERA close to 5, but it's pretty clear the market has kind of made a position here on the Yankees. So I'm a Sox fan, rooting for the Sox, but I'm rooting for the Yankees here tonight, guys. Got the Yankees around -145.
Good reminder here, too. You've heard Josh mention on VSiN.com having those bet splits available for DraftKings and Circa. Right now, we offer exclusive betting splits for both of those properties for as little as $9.99 your first month at VSiN.com/subscribe. Get access to all of that data for yourself. See where the big bets from professional bettors are coming in, while also seeing that DraftKings angle, getting the broader market perspective. One more game here in Major League Baseball, Josh, as Josh Appelbaum continues to join us here on the Progressive Guest Line. The Pirates open up a 3-game set in New York, also taking on the Mets after taking 2 of 3 from the Atlanta Braves this past week. Paul Skeens on the hill here, but Pirates haven't been winning a ton of games, even with their ace on the hill. 3-4 on the year. In the 8 games that he has played, 5 losses for the Pirates here. They are +140 on the road. New York favored -166. What stood out to you from a market perspective?
What stood out to me, Stormy, from the start is you kind of nailed it. Paul Skeens is a +140 dog tonight. I mean, that's just is kind of crazy. This guy is a phenom. Obviously, his stats aren't quite as good as they were last year, but maybe this speaks more of how poorly the Pirates have played, maybe how good we've just seen the Mets play this year. Line move has been all toward the New York Mets. They open as low as -135. I got him at -160. Now we're showing, some books steaming up to -170. So it's notable to me that even though Skeens is kind of this great pitcher who the public loves to kind of latch onto, and maybe you play him in a first 5, maybe you take his over K prop, but that's really not what's happening across the market. At DraftKings, 74% bets, over 80% dollars is on the Mets. And then again at Circa and Stormy, I really like when you kind of point out the kind of comparing and contrasting the DraftKings to the Circa splits, because it's always important to me that you have a sharper split at Circa, because again, they're, kind of welcoming in those sharper bettors. 69% bets, over 99% of the money here is on the Mets. So big money out in Vegas on the Mets. You have a lot of system matches here. Home favorites off a win, non-division home favorites off a win with steam. Favorites with line movement in their direction have been really good this year. And you're also looking at just a home road split that really jumps out to you. The Mets are 15-4 at home. Pirates are 5-14 on the road. Mets are actually hitting .260 at home. That's top 10. Pittsburgh's 29th on the road, only hitting .210. So again, it's surprising Skeens is getting plus money, but I think you kind of want to maybe question why you're getting such a good price with Skeens. This looks fishy to me in favor of laying it with the Mets tonight. I'm going Mets.
All right, Josh, about 45 seconds. What's the fallout of Derek Carr's retirement for the Saints?
Yeah, JBT, obviously, Carr's retired here. We've seen a big move in the win totals market for the New Orleans Saints. They were 6.5, actually juiced over, -120 prior to the Carr announcement. They're basically 6.5 at quite a few shops, but really juiced up under, like -180. That's too high for me on a win total. But if you want to, kind of take a little bit of a chance here, under 5.5 wins is +110. You're getting plus money for a team that only won 5 games last year. Are they basically the same or worse? I like that bet. I'll go under 5.5. Remember, they were 5-5 with Carr. Without Carr, they were 0-7. And this kind of reminds me of the Patriots win total from last year. It fell quite a bit. I think it was 5.5 down to 4.5. Fade a rookie coach, fade a rookie quarterback if this is going to be Tyler Shook. I'll go under 5.5 +110 with New Orleans this year.
You guys remember when the Saints won those first 2 games of the year last season?
I had somebody yelling.
Blew out the Panthers and Cowboys.
I was told they were the greatest team ever. All right.
Best team in the world. See how that ended. Josh, you're awesome. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Josh Appelbaum, everybody. Make sure you check out the All Systems Go podcast. Download it wherever you get your podcast and follow Josh on X at Josh_insights. Best bets for the day. Rounding out this Monday edition of Money Moves coming up next.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Thanks for hanging with with us back here on Money Moves on a Monday. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Coming up in a few minutes, we will give into our best bets of the day, presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. We love them. But I know you had a few more thoughts on kind of the Saints after Derek Carr's retirement.
Well, it's just a win total thing in general because Josh brings up the fact that, like, hey, play an alternate under with his reasoning behind it. Just goes to show we could do this when we get, a little bit closer with all the win totals. Generally, win totals, you don't really fall, like, on the number. You, again, generally, are within, like, 2 wins on either side. So, like, if you go under, you're probably going to go under by, like, 2 or 3 wins. If you go over, you're going to exceed expectations, go over, 2 or 3 wins. It behooves you to look at some of the alternate win totals just in general because usually you're not going to fall, like, right on the win total number. If you're exceeding or falling short of expectations, you're doing it by a pretty decent margin, and it behooves you as a bettor to look at some of those alternate win totals.
That's interesting, yeah. So if you really like a team, see if you can find some of those alts on the other side, and if you really, really don't trust one,
correct, yeah.
see if you can go the other way.
Yeah, bet those unders, and you're betting alternates, so you're getting some plus prices out of it, but it's not rare, but most often you're not, like, sweating it out in the last game. Usually your win total has been determined in an NFL season. Relatively comfortably, we'll say, whether it's a loss or a win, whatever it is.
Well, like, I think the 49ers, for example, last year would have been a great example of that, where a lot of people already didn't like where that number was and the belief that, okay, what is Brock Purdy really going to be? Then they end up getting all of the injuries, so it's significantly worse. There was a lot of opportunity for a handful of teams like that we saw last year. Okay, let's get into our best bets of the day. Presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. I have a handful in Major League Baseball and the NBA. I actually don't have a hockey best bet today, which I'm sure is a little disappointing. We can talk about those games, though, in a second. But I'm going to start here just rehashing some of those baseball bets I had. I am on the Tigers on the money line. I'm going against kind of the market, the way that they are buying in on the other side here with the Red Sox. I
don't know. Market's correct 100% of the time, so it's very dangerous on your part.
I understand what Josh was saying, definitely. But for me, I just think this is probably too much of a market overreaction to Jackson Jobe here. And I think that Tanner Houck can be had. He's got an ERA over 6. He's played a lot of bad offenses that have helped even out what was that one really bad start against the Rays numbers-wise. So I think his numbers are actually pretty accurate to what they would be. And Detroit offensively is so good. They're top 8 in just about everything offensively. They're really good at home. 14-5 in their home ballpark. They have the second best bullpen ERA in the sport. So I think that the Tigers should be able to handle business here at a plus money price. I feel like I had to fire on it.
All right. I'm going to tease this, even though you're the host. I have a bit of breaking news that is going to make you absolutely giddy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
After the best bets?
Yeah,
we can't do it yet?
Yeah,
okay, shoot. Okay, then let me crank through these real quickly. I'm also on the Cubs.
Get cranking.
First 5 run line, just minus a half a run, minus 150 against the Marlins. Fate of Cal Quantrill. On the road, Quantrill, 4 starts, 2-2, ERA 7.64. Opponents batting 3.15 against him. We talked about those advanced numbers: expected ERA, whiff percentage, K rate, barrel rate, hard hit rate. All of those numbers are bad against a Cubs lineup that's awesome. Top 5 in just about everything, and I really like Colin Ray. All of his starts, 4 of his 5 starts, all of those have covered the full game run line. So as far as an F5 run line, I like that. And then the Padres on the run line today against the Angels. I know that you're an Angels fan, but we also love Michael King on this program. 4-1, 2.22 ERA. Hasn't given up more than 2 runs in any of his 5 starts. Backed by a top 4 bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball, in a lineup that's top 10 in average, OPS, slugging. They strike out less than anybody. Top 6 in the league in run differential. 14-4 at home. They're also the best run line covering team in baseball. Meanwhile, the Angels are the second to last run line team in baseball. Just dropped a home series with the Orioles. They're 25th of 30 teams in runs scored, 29th in average. And Yusei Kikuchi, yes, has deserved better than his 0-4 record, but the Angels are second only to the Nationals in being the worst bullpen ERA in the sport as well.
Your disdain for the Orioles is very funny.
I don't like
it. It's this badge. Like, it's like this.
So here's
they lost the series to the Orioles.
Can I just say, because you weren't on the show with me yet. Matt Brown and I were working together, and as you know, I am new to kind of delving into betting baseball daily. I was looking for some teams to buy in on, and I got talked into the Orioles this offseason, and I now hate them with a burning passion inside me. So that's how that goes.
The issue, I thought we had talked about this on Primetime and a couple other programs. The issue with the Orioles is I don't really like expecting a team to just get better. And that's essentially what they were asking in this offseason. It was like, they're young. Of course they're going to get better. Sometimes it doesn't happen.
So that doesn't happen. And then injuries. And it's just bleh.
All right, real quick. Red Sox, Tigers, over first 5, over 5, minus 105. Tigers, first 5, minus 110. Echoing a lot of what you've talked about here in that one. I will spit in the face of the market, actually. Not fly in the face of them. I will hawk a loogie in their general direction. Mariners, plus the half run, first 5, at minus 130. D-backs, Giants, over 4 in the first 5. Same price at minus 130 as well. Those are the 4 baseball bets. And then I will also stick a middle finger up to this statistic. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Boston shot 50% from Game 3, as we know, made 23s in Game 2. Teams after shooting 50% or better from 3 and making 20 or more threes are 8 and 18 in the following game in the playoffs since 2003. Make it 9 and 18. Celtics will go in. They will win and they will cover. Let's go Celtics minus 6.5.
Okay, so you're going full game. I'm going Celtics first half. I was debating between the first half team total and first half spread. Ended up on Boston minus 3.5 for the first half of this one. Covered this number in all 3 of the games so far. The Knicks have trailed at halftime by an average of almost 17 points. Boston finally started having those shots fall, as you referenced, and I agree with you. I think it continues. So first half, I think they'll, especially early, right? Every game early, they have had that sense of urgency, and I think especially trying to even that series at 2, go back to Boston with the series tied. That'll be a good spot. So those are our best bets presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And remember, while most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when you put your own money on the card, GBank treats those gaming transactions as purchases. So you're saving 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there when you're with GBank. Plus, you're earning 1% cashback rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback on all other eligible purchases. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank, VSIN.com/GBank. What's the news that will make me giddy?
Okay. It's never really great if I don't even know if it's lose your job, but I'll just read this to you. From the Sporting News, things have gotten so messy between Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson, and USC that there's an, quote, absolutely real chance Belichick is not the head coach
No.
by the time week 1 rolls around.
No.
Now,
Shut the front door.
That is per Pablo Torre, as we know, and we should note. Torre reported that Hudson had been banned from the facilities. UNC quickly came out and said that was not true. So
then he came back out and said, I absolutely stand by my reporting,
Correct.
and I got this information from very high up in North Carolina athletics.
But according to him, there is absolutely a real chance Belichick is not the head coach for UNC.
Pablo Torre finds out. I am fascinated by this whole thing.
I know. That's why I figured you would get very excited
You're
about
not
this.
wrong. I am absolutely captivated and enthralled by this entire situation.
I hope he's gone. I think it would be hilarious.
I can't imagine it. I need to start texting my sources in North Carolina.
I also think, do you have some? Yeah, you might have some. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you've got some connections out there.
See what I can find out.
Because, I think they would deserve this had they have, I think Nepotism U would probably deserve getting just nailed right on the chin with all of this.
It's just, the whole situation of the girlfriend being the PR director, but actually causing more problems from a PR perspective than she's solving exponentially is just fascinating to me.
It's almost like she wasn't qualified for the job.
It's unbelievable how that works out sometimes. Okay, last minute and a half here. I do just want to say for the Golden Knights Oilers Game 4 we have coming up tonight in Edmonton.
Hey, come on, you're not on the sidelines. Let's go. Make a pick.
Mark Stone. Oh, stop it. I don't know. I lean Vegas, though, to even the series at 2. I do, but I haven't placed a bet on it. Mark Stone, we talked about him being a game-time decision earlier in the program. According to all of the reports at Morning Skate, he was on the ice today, not in the red non-contact jersey. So that's a good sign. You'll get clarity on that when Bruce Cassidy speaks to the media this morning. But Vegas plus 105 dogs at Edmonton, but this number has come down a little bit with the Vegas side getting played. Also, meanwhile, the other game in the NHL, Carolina Hurricanes, huge favorites tonight. And listen, I know that the shot attempts numbers are redonkulous on the side of Carolina, but I do kind of agree conceptually with what Jonathan Davis said on the program earlier that it's like price-wise plus 215. There's almost an obligation to put a little bit on Washington tonight.
Yeah, I was.
You can't do it?
No, I'm with you. He's somebody who is, again, we always talk about these. I'm always driven by the even strength metrics, and it's eye popping for Carolina. it is pretty strong to go from where we were just in this last game that opened up minus 175 in favor of Carolina to where we are at now, where they're easily going through minus 250 and up to minus 265. That's pretty crazy.
Shot attempts, Canes are plus 123 in terms of the shot attempts differential in that series so far. 94-31 game 1, 86-50 game 2, 76-49 in game 3. That's a wrap for us today. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Keep it locked right here on VSiN. Coming up next, Prop Points with Nick Whalen and Jeff Erickson. AJ Schultz is going to dive into his top player props to watch in the NHL too. You won't want to miss it.